In this video lecture, we will go through adsorption isotherm and adsorption isobar. By now, we are familiar with the process of adsorption, how it takes place, right? And we also know that it's an equilibrium process like evaporation, right? Now, adsorption isotherm, let's quickly go through it. Iso we know is same and therm means heat, right? Adsorption isotherm, right? Iso means same, therm means heat, right? So adsorption isotherm is basically a curve, right, that shows how amount of gas adsorbed on a solid varies with increase or decrease in pressure, right, at constant temperature, because it's a isotherm, so temperature will remain constant, right? So this tells us how amount of gas adsorbed varies with pressure at constant temperature, right? How it varies with pressure at constant temperature. So basically this is the graph that shows us how the amount of gas adsorbed varies with pressure. This is the curve that you get. We'll discuss this curve in detail in a moment. So we are familiar with the process of adsorption, how the process of adsorption exactly takes place, right? And we know that if you suppose you take this closed vessel, right, and you have a solid surface in this closed vessel and you have a gas inside it, right, then this solid surface will start adsorbing this gas, right? So initially the pressure will fall. Why? Because amount of gas in this vessel will decrease because this solid will adsorb the gas on its surface, right? So gas plus this solid, right? This is what adsorption is. So gas adsorbed, right? And I said in the beginning, and we have discussed this in the previous lectures also, that adsorption is an equilibrium process. By equilibrium process we mean that the gas, initially when the gas will get adsorbed on the surface, right, the rate of adsorption would be high, right? But slowly some of the gas that gets adsorbed on the surface will leave the surface, right? That is, desorption will take place, right? So simultaneously in the reverse direction we have the process of desorption also taking place, right? Desorption means opposite of adsorption, right? So some of the gas will also leave the surface, right? And since both the process are taking place, right, adsorption and desorption, and at one point when the amount of gas that gets adsorbed, right, amount of gas that gets adsorbed on the surface will become equal to the amount of gas that leaves the surface, that is, desorption takes place, then at that point we say that equilibrium has been attained in the process of adsorption, right? So at equilibrium we will see at equilibrium the amount of gas adsorbed, right, and pressure at equilibrium, right? At equilibrium, if you look at the amount of gas adsorbed, right, amount of gas adsorbed would be same, right? It will become constant. At amount of gas adsorbed will become constant at equilibrium, right? And the pressure inside the vessel will also become constant, right? Why? Because at equilibrium the amount of gas that gets adsorbed on the surface would be equal to the amount of gas that leaves the surface, right? So when both the process are occurring right, in both the directions, in forward direction and in reverse direction at the same rate, then we say equilibrium has been attained, and at equilibrium the amount of gas will remain same, right? The amount of gas will remain same and the pressure of the gas will also remain constant in the vessel, right? Now we have also understood in the previous lecture two things: how adsorption varies with temperature and pressure, and we know that on increasing the temperature, the amount of gas that gets adsorbed on the surface of the solid will leave the solid, right? That is, desorption will take place on increasing the temperature, right? And what about pressure? On increasing the pressure, the rate of adsorption will increase, or the amount of gas that gets adsorbed on the surface will increase with increase in pressure, right? Because on increasing pressure, the gas molecules will come close to one another, right, and will get adsorbed on the surface, right? And with increase in temperature, why the rate of adsorption decreases? Because we know that adsorption is in adsorption the gas gets bind on the surface, right? So it's a kind of bond or a force that holds the gas onto the surface. So when you increase the temperature, this force gets weakened, right? So the gas adsorbed will leave the surface, right? So adsorption, we say, decreases with increase in temperature, right? And here it increases with pressure, right? Now let's come on to this graph. This graph shows us the relationship between the amount of gas that gets adsorbed on the unit mass, right, of the adsorbent, right, and how this amount of gas adsorbed varies with pressure, right? So here x upon m is the amount of gas adsorbed, right, where x is the mass of the gas adsorbed, right, and m is the mass of the adsorbent, right? So if, let's say, if this is the adsorbent, right, and we are studying this experiment of adsorption, say on this mass m, right? So if on mass m x gram of gas has been adsorbed, right, on mass m x gram of gas has been absorbed, then on unit gram, say m gram, then on unit gram, 1 gram, amount of gas adsorbed would be x upon m, right? So that is why we say x upon m is the amount of gas adsorbed on unit gram, on unit mass of adsorbent, right? So this is your amount of gas adsorbed on unit mass of adsorbent, right? So the curve that we get is known as Frendulic adsorption isotherm. Why we call it Frendulium? Because Frendulium was the first. Frendulium was he was a German chemist, right? He was a German scientist who derived relationship between amount of gas adsorbed and pressure P, right? We'll just look at that relationship in a moment. If you look at this graph, initially with the increase in pressure, the amount of gas adsorbed is increasing. Till this point, the amount of gas has increased linearly with pressure, right? Then here the curve is little bent, right? It's just curved, right? And here, if you look here, we have a straight line, right? If you look at this point, this is pressure, right? And this is the maximum pressure, and this is the maximum amount of gas that gets absorbed, right? This is the maximum amount of gas that gets absorbed at pressure PS, right? And here after this we are getting a straight line, right? This graph moves in a straight line, which means that amount of gas absorbed is not increasing, it's a straight line, right? No matter how much, whatever is the pressure, no matter how much pressure you increase, the amount of gas absorbed will remain same, right, at this point. So amount of gas absorbed becomes constant at PS, at pressure PS, and this pressure is known as saturation pressure. That means saturation has reached saturation pressure, right? That means saturated state has been reached, where on increasing the pressure, the amount of gas absorbed is not increasing, it remains constant. So this is known as your saturation pressure, right? So here, in the beginning, the amount of gas absorbed is directly proportional to your pressure, right? It's increasing, amount of gas absorbed is increasing with pressure. Therefore, if I remove this sign of proportionality, I'll put K, right? So this is the relationship that holds in the beginning of the process adsorption, right? And so here the value is 1, P to the power of 1. If you look at this, if you look at this point, right, where pressure is saturated, pressure has reached its saturation value, the amount of gas absorbed is same no matter what is the amount of pressure or how much pressure we increase, the amount of gas absorbed will remain the same. That means at this point the amount of gas absorbed does not depend on your pressure, right? It is independent of pressure, right, at this point. So this means amount of gas at this point, amount of gas absorbed is independent of pressure, right? So we can write it like this, is directly proportional to P to the power of 0, right? So this will become x upon m is equal to k, right, P to the power of 0, so it would be k. So x upon m is equals to k. So this does not depend on pressure, right? Now if you look between these two, right, between these two values, here P is raised to the power of 1, here P is raised to the power of 0. So between this, P would be raised to the power of between 1 and 0, right? So we can write it as between 1 and 0, right? Between 1 and 0 pressure. If I write in the, if you look at this relationship, x upon m is directly related to P. Here P is to the power of 0 because amount of gas absorbed does not depend on pressure, and here at till this point it is x, this amount of gas absorbed depends on pressure to the power of 1. So between would be, in between these two would be between 1 and 0, between 1 and 0. So between 1 and 0, that is it is less than 1, right? Whatever is the power of P, it is less than 1. That means between 1 and 0. So I can write it like this, right? This value would always be between 1 and 0, right? So I can write it like this for this curve. x upon m is directly proportional to p, right, to the power of 1 upon n. So x upon m is equals to k p to the power of 1 upon n, right? This is your relationship between amount of gas adsorbed and pressure P, right? And this is known as, this is the empirical, or this is the relationship derived by Frendulic between the amount of gas adsorbed and your pressure P, right? So this is important, right? And this relationship was, since it was put forward by Frendulic in the year 1909, it's mentioned in your books, right? So in order to see if this relationship is valid, right, if this relationship is correct, it's valid, what we can do is we'll take the log of this relationship on both the sides. Log x upon m is equals to log k plus 1 upon m log p, right? This is simple mathematics of logarithm. So this equation, right, on taking logarithm, this is of the form of straight line. Straight line equation is, we know that it is y is equals to mx plus c, right? Now if this relationship is true, then this, right, this relationship, this equation, which looks to be the equation of straight line, should give you a straight line. If this relationship does not give you a straight line, that means this relationship is not valid, right, is not correct. So if you draw a graph between log x upon m and log p, right, you should get a straight line, right? So if you draw, it's been experimentally found that if you have different values of log x upon m and log p, this is the kind of graph that you will get, log x upon m and log p, right? And you get a straight line, right? You get a straight line for this. This is what you get, right? And this log p, right, or this is the log p, this is log x upon m, right? And this straight line will intercept y-axis at point log k, right? This line will intercept y-axis, this y-axis at this point, and this point would be log k. So this is the way you can verify this, that this relationship is correct, since you get a straight line, right, out of this. So this is it in adsorption isotherm. One thing, there is a limitation of adsorption isotherm, that it could not explain the behavior at high pressure, because at high pressure we observed that the amount of gas adsorbed does not increase, right? It remains constant. So Frendulic adsorption isotherm could not explain this. So this is one of the shortcomings of Frendulic adsorption isotherm, right? So this is it, right? It's basically, I'll just repeat, adsorption isotherm is a relationship between the amount of gas adsorbed on the adsorbent and the pressure P at constant temperature, right? So initially the amount of gas adsorbed increases with pressure, right? And then it goes like this, and then at certain pressure Ps, right, the amount of gas adsorbed remains constant, right? That is, this is the maximum amount of gas that gets adsorbed at pressure Ps. This is known as saturation pressure, and no matter how much pressure you increase, the amount of gas will remain constant, right? And this is one of the shortcomings of Frendulic adsorption isotherm, that it could not explain this behavior at high pressure, right? Then you have this relationship that is derived, right, to show the relation. This is the relationship between amount of gas adsorbed, right, and pressure P, right? And K and N are constant, that depends on the nature of the adsorbent and the adsorbate, right? So this is it. Just remember that adsorption decreases with increase in pressure, increases with rise in pressure, right? And it's an equilibrium process, right? So now we'll just quickly look at adsorption isobar. And isobar, since it's isobar, so isobar means, iso means same, bar is for pressure, right? So these adsorption isobar are graphs between, this will show us how your adsorption, how adsorption varies with temperature, right? How it varies with temperature. So here we will take two cases. First is, we know that adsorption is of two kinds, physisorption and chemisorption, right? So physisorption, right? Then you have, second is your chemisorption. We know that in physisorption, the gas will be attracted on the surface of the solid, right? But without forming a chemical bond. Whereas in the second case, chemisorption, the gas will form a chemical bond with the adsorbent, right? So here in the second case, we have a chemical reaction. In the first case, we don't have a chemical reaction. It's just a simple adsorption on the surface of the metal. So for the chemisorption, since we discussed before also that adsorption decreases with increase in temperature, right? So here in isobar, pressure will remain constant. This will show us how amount of gas adsorbed, right, will depend or varies with your temperature, right? First we'll see the graph for physisorption. The graph for physisorption would be like this, right? So which shows us that with increasing temperature, the amount of gas, right, amount of gas that is adsorbed is decreasing. Since the graph is coming down with increasing temperature, graph is coming down, this shows us that physisorption decreases with increase in temperature, right? This is simple. This is what we have studied before on the factors on which the adsorption depends, right? Now if you look at the graph for chemisorption, it will look like little different than this, right? It will look like this, right? This shows us that chemisorption first increases with rise in temperature, then afterwards it will start decreasing. What could be the reason, right? This is important to understand. Since we know that chemisorption, what is chemisorption? Chemisorption is when a gas that gets adsorbed on the surface of a metal, right, forms a bond with the metal. It forms a chemical bond with the metal, that is, it undergoes a chemical reaction, right? So in chemisorption, chemical reaction takes place. Chemical reaction occurs forming a bond, right? For example, if we have a nickel, right, we have nickel, we know that nickel adsorbs hydrogen gas, right? It will adsorb hydrogen gas. So what it does is, this adsorption takes place because nickel can form chemical bond with hydrogen, right, to form hydride, right? So here we have a chemical reaction forming a chemical compound hydride, nickel hydride, right? So in this case, this is how the isobar, adsorption isobar will look like. Since it's a chemical reaction, so we know that rate of chemical reaction increases with increase in temperature initially. Why? Because initially, right, there is something known as activation energy that we have done in chemical kinetics. So when you increase temperature, increasing temperature will increase the activation energy of reactants nickel and hydrogen, right? That will cause the chemical reaction between nickel and hydrogen, right? So initial rise in this adsorption, right, which is nothing but a chemical reaction, is because of the activation energy. Initial rise in temperature has caused this reaction between nickel and hydrogen, right? The energy provided, right, or the temperature given initially will act as activation energy for the reactants nickel and hydrogen, right? And due to this temperature, reaction between nickel and hydrogen will takes place, or the rate of reaction between nickel and hydrogen will increase, right? Thereby increasing the rate of chemisorption, right? So this is why the graph will rise in the beginning and then will fall down, right? So this is it for your adsorption isotherm and adsorption isobar. I hope all this is clear to you. Thanks.